Bonjour everyone, I am Jan, your favorite friendly Frenchman, and welcome back to the workshop actually. Yes, after the sign that we've made in the last episode, I had to, make my own font, and I thought that it would be a great idea to show you guys, you beginners out there, how to get things from the workshop, and here I'm using fonts from the workshop to then use in the Speedbuild for a new sign. And so the thing I did is, do the grocery shopping, basically just getting a few fonts that I liked and see which one worked the best for the simple park font. So I'm going to use one of the three fonts I'm downloading right now, one by Lyric 420, one by MathSam4, and this one by Guitar Freak. So let's see which one I use in the end. Let's start the speed build. And welcome back to building a simple park. Yes, that feels more like it, right? So, today we're building our first coaster, and let me tell you, it's gonna be the most compact coaster you have ever seen. I'm not even joking with you, it's literally going to be the most compact coaster you've ever seen. And so, at first you saw me trying to use a mine train coaster, but in the end I'm not gonna use that because the cars are way too big. So instead I'm gonna use a classic Wendigo because, well, it's a cool junior coaster. It's gonna be a junior coaster, by the way. I think you guys saw that in the thumbnail for the video. So what I'm doing right now is trying a few layouts. Most of them don't work out because, well, it is the same with everything. You have to go through a lot of trial and error, and in the end the thing that works best, the thing that makes you satisfied in the end, will be what works out. And it's okay to, delete it all and try again. For example, this coaster, what I'm writing right now is the third iteration of the coaster, and you see me delete it all again. So I'm doing actually right now the final run of this coaster, and this one is going to be our final run for the coaster. So in 4 tries, and not even counting of course the mine train coaster, in 4 tries I had the final design, which is extremely lucky. Most of the time I'm not having this much luck with any layout. For example, if you guys remember in Parc Ciel Bleu, there was the convergence, and the convergence basically took me something like 11 tries. It was insane. This coaster was literally driving me insane, but I kept on pushing through. And after I'm done building my coasters, usually I do back and forths of smoothing, because I'm using the 4-meter method, and the 4-meter method basically requires you to do a lot of smoothing to get your coasters glass smooth. The 4-meter method is basically using the shortest track pieces, which are 4 meter, to design your coaster. And once you're done designing your layout, basically you have to do a couple back and forths at least. Usually I do 4, but with this being a kiddie coaster, I didn't need this many passes, this many back and forths. The only downside of that method is that when you do the smoothing back and forths, it will underbank your turns, and sometimes they may feel a little rough. For example, you can see Ibex. Some of the turns in Ibex are extremely rough because, and even in the convergence, now that I think about it, both of those have really rough turns. Why? Well, because I didn't know at the time that you had to overbank some of the turns while you design your layout with the 4-meter pieces. And once you've done that, your banking will feel more natural, more realistic in a sense. Speaking of natural, you've seen earlier that I've designed this coaster to fit inside a sort of little hole, which is pretty shallow, let's be honest, but still, the hole in itself didn't really look natural. It didn't really look realistic because it was flat and smooth in a way. So I used some rocks and some paint tools to give you the impression that this hole is absolutely natural and that the coaster was built on top of the hole and using the hole as a feature. In real life, and obviously in Planet Coaster as well, those are called terrain coasters because they hug the terrain, they use it to their advantage, and they're the most epic coasters, man. And of course, this is a really small terrain coaster, but that's the point, you know. It's super small, but the fact that we're using terrain to make it feel bigger and more intimidating and more interesting as well is, well, making it more interesting. That is why I'm building this natural hole with rocks, with foliage, with this little stream and water at the bottom. I want this place to look interesting and not just be a small coaster, because in the end this is going to be the first thing you see when you get into the park. So it's incredibly important that you're attracted by this coaster and that it tells the story of Simple Park, if there even is such a thing at this point. You gotta keep in mind that Simple Park is never gonna have as big a story as Parc Ciel Bleu had, because Parc Ciel Bleu was this really big story, this really complex story, spanning 3 generations of a family tree, and the 3rd generation got help by the Yanko company, turning it into an eco park with huge coasters and everything. So yeah, it's never gonna be as complicated as that, because that was, let's be honest, that was too complicated and most people didn't get that. But what we are gonna do is not a story, but a feeling. If you haven't seen Corvus's latest video, I'm gonna link it down below or in the little pop-up on the top right hand corner, I think. Basically what I said is that theming is a feeling, and what I want with Simple Park, I didn't know it at the time making this coaster, but what I want with Simple Park is to make you guys feel like you're in the Rocky Mountains, at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, in this little family park built from, I don't know, an old western town, something like this. I want Simple Park to feel like a summer getaway in the pinewood forests, and having a campfire and listening to someone playing the banjo. This is the feeling I want to have with Simple Park. Did I just do another monologue? I think I did, but then again, those videos, and most of my videos actually, are monologues because, well, I can't do anything. You guys aren't there, and I don't have guests yet. Maybe I should have guests someday, but I don't know how I could have guests on Planet Coaster, because I'm not doing spotlights. So this is something I'm gonna have to think about. We'll see. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about this little wooden bridge I just made. And basically, it's just a head chopper moment. You know, the track was going over the other piece of track, and I wanted it to feel even more intense, even more frightening than it already was, because it was going to be an head chopper moment. And basically, the head chopper moment, as the name suggests, is a moment that makes you feel like your head is gonna hit what is above the coaster, but it's not. It's calculated just so that it's a near miss, you know. Now I've just realized how compact this coaster was, so I'm trying to fiddle around with the paths, and most people are saying that the paths are a nightmare. Embrace the nightmare, embrace the darkness. Basically just embrace what you don't like and try things out. That's what you should do in the end. And speaking of trying things out, I tried out off camera the different fonts that we've downloaded from the workshop earlier, and in the end I went with Guitar Freak's font because this was the one that fitted the aesthetic of the park most. So yeah, I'm gonna use this one and remove the horrible sign that we've put last episode, because, oh my god. Thinking about it, this was a good placeholder, but you're not gonna be missed, sorry. Of course I gotta extend the supports, but it's okay, because in the end, look at that. We finally have a proper Simple Park sign. And what you see me do right now is going back to the workshop to make sure I credited, that's a hard word to say, credited the correct person, who was basically Guitar Freak. So yeah, thank you Guitar Freak. I don't know if you're gonna see this video, but thank you so much for making this font, because it's gonna be so central to my park in the end. That's another important thing that you have to know if you're just arriving on the game. Basically, you want to always credit the person whose work you're using. That's another important thing to remember when you're using a workshop item. Please, you're not obligated to do so, but please do credit the people whose work you're using, because if you're just calling it your own, it's gonna give you bad karma, you know? No, but people are gonna notice. People aren't blind, especially people who play tens, hundreds, and if not thousands of hours to make those creations. They're gonna notice, and you're gonna look bad in the end. You're gonna look like a bag, yes. You're gonna be a bag of bad karma. That's what you're gonna be. But yes, if you're using creations from the workshop, please do credit the people whose work you've just used. This park is really going to be about nature, you know, about landscapes, and that's why landscaping is going to be a big part of those speed builds. This is extremely important to me, to have nature around the park, because I'm French. I'm used to going to Disneyland Paris, and okay, the Disneyland park is a great park with a lot of nature and a lot of trees and flowers and everything. But when you go to Walt Disney Studios park, oh my god, it's just concrete everywhere. Literally only concrete, and you don't have any greenery. That's basically why I'm traumatized and I want to put nature everywhere. Like, literally, if I don't see a park with nature, I'm gonna say that's a bad park. I don't want to look at it. No, delete, unsubscribe, or whatever it is we say on the workshop. But yeah, this is really important to remember, that parks usually, of course, they're theme parks, so there are a lot of attractions there. But to me, parks are always a place to just sit there and relax, you know, with trees, with birds whistling, and that's why I put so much care into the ambience and the landscape that I immerse you in, because that's really important to me. I want to make you feel like you're taking a break at times, you know. It's not only rides. Some days are like that, but I don't want my parks to be like that. I want them to be experienced. And for that very theme park experience, we're finally putting fences around this natural hole or whatever, because we don't want the guests, and especially the crazy kids, to fall around where the coaster is and just, well, die. Some people in the community call that don't die fencing, and whatever, say whatever you want, but it's a little grim to call that don't die fencing, so I'm not gonna call that. I'm just gonna call it a fence, because, well, that's a fence. And yeah, I'm just making sure that everything is to scale, and that there are, well, benches and trash cans and some places that are ruined, because, well, if a park is a bit old or not well maintained, well, you're gonna have some bits that are ruined, and I want, again, my parks to feel real, like they could be a real place that you can walk around it and feel immersed, and that you can go on rides and be relaxed also at times, because that's a whole, you know, the theme park experience is a whole. And yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. And I'm probably gonna keep that as well, because usually when I don't know where I'm going with this, I just stop. But yeah, that's a beautiful thing, you know, with live commentary, and I really like live commentary so far, so I'm probably gonna do that more often, because I don't need a script when I do that. And sorry, I'm talking about the whole organization and filming of things, but I don't need a script when I do that, and it's really helpful. It's so much quicker to do those, and so much nicer to do those, because I just feel like I'm talking to you guys. But with this comes the end of the Speedbuild. And welcome back to Simple Park. We're back at the entrance, and basically every single breakdown after Speedbuilds will start there. And as you can see, coming in the park with this Simple Park logo, well, not logo, this Simple Park sign and the coaster going on in the background. It's just great. It's just coming together really nicely, even though it's pretty empty right now, but believe, you know. And here is the most compact coaster you have ever seen. It's not named yet, it's gonna be named in the next episode, but yeah, I'm really proud of it. I love the Bête du Gévaudan coaster inside Parc Ciel Bleu, because it was already extremely compact to fit between Place des Alpes, Ibex, the Convergence, and the Chemin de France, I think. And so, yeah, it's... I wanted to challenge myself and do something even more compact, and this is probably as compact as it gets. And I love that not only is there a coaster, but it's also surrounded by all of those natural things, with the stream, with the foliage, with the rocks. I think it comes together extremely nicely, and I'm super proud of what I've done is in such a small space. And it's not even done, because we still have the station, the queue, and a gift shop to do, so yes. But what do you say? Maybe we should look at the stats of the coaster now. Obviously they are not great, let's be honest. They're not really great, but it's a junior coaster, and it's fitting in such a small space that the lift hill is taking most of the time away from the coaster, most of its runtime away. But let's ride this coaster. What do you think? It looks exciting. Thank you for being with me for the second episode of Building a Simple Park. If you liked the episode, well, please leave a like or a comment on the video. And if you're not subscribed yet, well, please consider doing so, because you're not gonna want to miss the other episodes that will come out. This has been Yann, your favorite friendly Frenchman, and I'll see you around. À bientôt!